Coming up, the Bears were off to a rocky start on Monday, losing their first game of the season 27-24 to the Minnesota Vikings.
Oof, tough loss. Plus, a decision that's been shaking up the sport of cycling and setting off a firestorm of debate.
I'm Arianna Spruille.
And I'm Tashae.
All this and so much more.
Rambler Sports Locker begins now.
Welcome back, Ramblers, to this season of Rambler Sports Locker. It is now the third week of classes, and I can tell by the number of faces in the studio today that the semester has been treating us right. What do you think, Sky?
Honestly, I'm impressed people are still upright. Week 3 is when the caffeine's holding us together better than group projects ever could. I've got a wide workload, like Olympic lifting wide. But hey, I'm handling it well, at least with style.
I can also say the warm changes in weather have been a welcoming change. Like, hold on, pumpkin spice, summer's not over quite yet.
All right, let's get into it. It's time for your Rambler Rundown, where we hit the highlights and everything in between. Let's see what's been going down in Rambler Nation this week.
Welcome back to another week of the Rambler Rundown. The women's volleyball team played in the Kiwi Star Classic this past Thursday. They overcame a 2-set deficit to defeat Illinois State 3-2. On Friday, they lost to the Butler Bulldogs in their second match. They will play in the Loyola Invitational this weekend against Indiana State and Bowling Green University. The men's soccer team fell 2-1 to DePaul at Wishfield on Sunday. Aiming for a striking comeback, they will play another crosstown rival, UIC, on Monday for the Latin Heritage Appreciation Game. The women's soccer team earned a hard-fought road victory, defeating Illinois State 1-0 this past Sunday. They will face Marquette University this weekend with the same winning momentum. The men's golf team opened their season at the Golf Week Challenge this past Sunday, finishing in a tie for 9th place out of 13 teams. The women's golf team continued its fall season at the Redbird Invitational, finishing 11th overall with a total score of 929. They hope to advance as they prepare for the Velvet Classic against Murray State University this upcoming week. That's all for this week's Rambler Rundown. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Gianna, Perez.
Women's soccer is definitely the sport to catch if they continue to deliver like this. Up next, Sinead Buckley is here to give us the latest legislative updates to the USA cycling competition.
Starting September 15th, the USA Cycling Competition category will implement a policy banning transgender women from competing in the women's category. In February, President Trump signed the Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports executive order, requiring eligibility for women's sports be based on sex at birth rather than gender identity. Non-compliant federal sports organizations risk losing their federal funding. On July 21st, the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, or USOPC, was required to revise their athlete safety policy in accordance with President Trump's executive order because they are a federally recognized organization. This new USOPC policy states in the women's category, individuals who are allowed to compete are those who meet the following definition of female. Female means a person belonging at conception to the sex that produces the large reproductive cell. However, in the men's open category, any individual, regardless of their sex assigned at birth, is permitted to compete in the men's open category. According to the USOPC, they made their decision based on science and fairness. They then referred to non-governing bodies, which are non-federal sports organizations, encouraging them to reevaluate their policies. Now, USA Cycling updated its competition category policy to align with President Trump's executive order. Though not a federal agency, it is the nonprofit national governing body for cycling and, like many NBGs, still receives some federal funding through outreach programs. There is a strong divide of opinions regarding the matter of transgender women performing and competing in women's sports events. Regardless, the debate over transgender women's participation in sports remains a complex intersection of fairness, inclusion, and evolving policy. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Sinead Buckley. Now back to you, Sky.
Thanks, Sinead. Now let's shift gears and talk football. And not just any football. We're diving into the NFC North, where the games are intense, the rivalries are real, and emotions always running high. AJ, take it away.
Welcome to the Rambler Sports Locker NFC North recap. In an absolutely thrilling game, the Minnesota Vikings made an incredible fourth quarter comeback against the Chicago Bears, winning 27-24. The Vikings outscored the Bears 21-7 in the fourth quarter. Rookie quarterback J.J. McCarthy completely turned around in the fourth quarter, following a disappointing first three quarters, where he went 7 for 12 on passes for only 56 yards. McCarthy also took 3 sacks and threw an interception that was returned for a Bears defensive touchdown. In the fourth quarter alone, McCarthy had 3 touchdowns, including this one to Aaron Jones. Will Reichard set a Soldier Field record as he cashed in a 59-yard field goal. Caleb Williams showed huge levels of promise, starting the game 10 for 10 on completed passes. Williams finished the game going 21 for 35 on pass attempts, throwing 1 touchdown and running 1 in himself. Bears fans, there is still hope. In his last 12 games, Caleb Williams has thrown for 12 touchdowns and only 1 interception. However, the team went 1-11 in that stretch. I'm confident in saying that Caleb Williams is your franchise quarterback and that he is not the issue. The Vikings look to stay hot as they play against the Atlanta Falcons in Minneapolis. This game will be a quarterback rematch of the 2024 NCAA College Football National Championship game, which featured McCarthy and the Michigan Wolverines beating Michael Penix Jr. and the Washington Huskies 34-13. Will history repeat itself? As Loyola Chicago's resident Vikings fan, I can say I sure hope so. I predict a 24-20 Vikings win. The Green Bay Packers faced off against the Detroit Lions on Sunday, a game in which they never trailed. Packers quarterback Jordan Love went 16 for 22 and threw 2 touchdowns. Rookie wide receiver and first-round draft pick Matthew Golden struggled in his debut, totaling only 16 yards on 2 receptions. Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs set a record, as he had the fewest receiving yards by a player to catch 10 or more passes in a game, with only 31. Jared Goff had a great game on paper, throwing for 225 yards on 79% completion, but he could not lift the Lions to victory. The Lions travel to Soldier Field this Sunday as both teams look for their first win of the season. I predict the Lions to beat the Bears 27-17. That's all for this week's NFC North recap. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm AJ Lee.
Thanks for that recap, AJ. Lots to keep an eye on in the North. If the Bears can clean up their fourth quarter defense, they might just start turning some of these close losses into wins. Either way, it's going to be a big week in the division.
Now, Henry Isenberg will be giving us the details into the Bears' next big move.
Before the Bears' heartbreaking loss to the Vikings, Bears CEO and president Kevin Warren announced that they would be moving their stadium to the suburb of Arlington Heights after years of speculation. In a letter to Bears Nation, Warren stated, "We are at a pivotal juncture of the Chicago Bears franchise to build a new stadium. This is the year to finalize our stadium plans so that we can officially bid to host the Super Bowl as soon as 2031. Warren claimed that in addition to hosting the Super Bowl in just 6 years, the new fixed roof design will allow for a stadium to host a multitude of events such as Final Fours, global soccer games, and concerts. The response of the fan base has been largely positive. For Soldier Field has its fair share of issues: lack of adequate parking, long lines for entry and to use the restrooms, not to mention the aging infrastructure. However, for some, saying goodbye to this, what has been the home of the Bears since 1971 has been hard, and they are worried that the team will lose its identity due to them leaving the city. Change is scary, but in this case, I feel as if it was needed. Chicago should be hosting Super Bowls and big events, and this will allow for that to happen. For Rambler Sports Locker, Henry Isenberg.
Thanks, Henry. On today's Ramble, Joe Mangold will be joined by AJ Lee and Zane Warkel to discuss what we are all wondering and looking to get off our chest. What is going on with the Bears and what can we expect for the Super Bowl?
Hello everyone, welcome to the first Ramble of this semester. I'm your new host, Joe Mangold, and I'm here with AJ Lee and Zane Warkel. Folks, with a new fall semester, of course, comes a new season for the Bears. After a poor performance against the Vikings, so many questions linger over this team's head as they wonder if the Ben Johnson effect is real or if the Bears should bench Caleb Williams for preseason star Tyson Bagent. Well, those questions will have to be answered later in the season, but right now, the focus is on what the Bears' record could be. Will the Bears truly become a threat in the NFC North, or will they play as bad as last year? AJ, what do you think the record will be?
You know, I think that first game against the Vikings said a lot. They were in it for most of it, ended up losing, and that's all right. Caleb Williams showed that he is who he needs to be. That is your franchise quarterback, and I think all the pieces are there. The Bears do, however, have the second hardest strength of schedule this year, as they have to play against the NFC North twice. They play against the NFC East and the AFC North. So all those things considered, I'm going to say 7-10 is a good goal.
All right. And Zane, what do you think about that?
I have a slightly optimistic turn here, but it's not that optimistic. I'm going to go 9-8. Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams need to prove themselves because I see Caleb Williams being an absolute menace when he's outside the pocket. He can scramble, he can do it all. When he throws in situations that he needs to complete the pass over people's heads. It's sailing. I need that target to be on the money when I'm beating a team. If that's not going to happen, I'm sorry. I got to say that I think they're going to choke more games down the road. I think they have enough talent to get to 9 wins, but I'm not saying even 10 wins. I don't think they can do it.
All right, great takes from both of y'all. I got to admit, though, as much as it pains me to say it, I got to give it to AJ on this one. I like his takes. I do kind of agree. Caleb looks a little off this season. All right, for the next round, let's talk about the end of the season. Zane, what do you think the Super Bowl matchup's going to be, and who do you think is going to win?
Good question. So, Eagles, I think, are obvious NFC championship. They're going to win it. I have no doubt in my mind. They have not lost that many key members. Their team, Jalen Hurts, still looks electric as always. Great team, great defense. The only thing that can stop them is the Super Bowl hangover. That's about it, I would say. Now, unsurprisingly, who's going to win the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship is going to be none other than the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, you can't stop him. Lovable guy, but not only that, he is a menace on the gridiron. He knows how to throw the ball. He's got many risk targets. He's got James Conner if he needs him. He's got, not James Conner, but it's okay. He's got very solid receivers. Keon Coleman never gave up on the play. He caught that off the tip. Impressive. Their defense, even though they bent a little bit in that game, they took a lot of damage in 40 points. They held it together. They punched the ball of one of the toughest running backs in the league in Derrick Henry. And so for that reason, they won't give up. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win this Super Bowl.
All right, what a great take. AJ?
You know, I have to agree with your NFC pick in the Philadelphia Eagles. Even though they have the youngest defense in the NFL, I still think they got it. So I feel pretty confident saying that the Eagles are going to make it. As for the AFC, even though they lost to the Buffalo Bills week 1, I think the Ravens bounced back. I don't think they're going to lose twice to the same team in the same year. I think Lamar Jackson is a top 2 quarterback in the NFL. I think that Derrick Henry is a top 2 running back in the NFL. I think Kyle Hamilton is a top 2 safety in the NFL. I can keep going. They had 9 Pro Bowlers last year, and they only got better. So I think that the Buffalo Ravens beat the Bills, and then they go on and they beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
All right. Great takes from both of y'all. Do got to admit, though, I do like the idea of Josh Allen, and I do think the explanation just blew it out of the water. So I got to give this one to Zane. Folks, in my first episode as a host, we have a tiebreaker already. Now, if you guys want to grab your phone so you can write this down, tiebreaker question is, which college conference had the most players drafted in this year's draft?
This conference.
You got about 15 seconds or so. Type it up and show me your answers when you're ready.
I can tell you how many, too.
The number, wow,
Yeah.
We got confidence here today, folks. Confidence like no tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, in our first ramble of this semester, the winner is AJ Lee. The conference was the SEC. AJ put the SEC. Zane sadly put the Big Ten. But I mean, hey, both conferences are incredible. Now that is going to wrap up this episode of The Ramble. What great takes from both of you guys today. As a Bears fan, I'm always rooting for them to do the best. AJ, Zane, thank you guys for coming onto the show today, and we will see you guys for next week's episode. Time to pass this one off to the anchors.
Thanks, everyone, for such an engaging discussion on potential Super Bowl possibilities. It may be the beginning of the season, but it is never too early to set expectations.
Absolutely. It's only week 1, but I'm already drafting my victory dance and practicing my touchdown celebrations. Let's just say this season looks promising, and my hype game is on point.
That wraps up this episode of Rambler Sports Locker.
To stay up to date on all things Rambler Sports, be sure to follow us on X, TikTok, and Instagram at Loyola RSL and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
From all of us here at Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Arianna Spruille.
And I'm Tashae.
We'll see you next week, and don't forget to turn off the lights.